What's up everyone, and welcome back to my Echoes of Time channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Did someone really poison Alexander the Great? Science clears up a subject that has been around for a long time. The young conqueror got very sick during an all-night feast, which was really surprising. A historian from Stanford has now found a possible suspect. In June 323 BCE, the most powerful man in the world died at King Nebuchadnezzar II's palace in Babylon. 13 days before, Alexander the Great, the greatest conqueror the world had ever seen, yelled in pain while drinking at one of his all-night parties. After being told to stay in bed with a fever and stomach pain, his health got worse over the next few days. He felt weak, in pain, partially paralyzed, thirsty, and at risk of having seizures. He also went in and out of consciousness. He fell into a death-like state near the end and couldn't move or talk. For 6 days after Alexander the Great died, his body was left alone. The ancient Greeks thought that Alexander was more godlike than human. For almost 2,000 years, no one has known what killed him or why his remains was preserved. Even though there are many hypotheses and guesses about what happened, the death of 32-year-old Alexander is still one of the most important cold cases in history. People talked about what killed Alexander even in ancient times. Many historians, from Pliny to Voltaire, thought that something was wrong, while others thought it was caused by disease or infection. Diodorus says that Alexander's successors used their power to stop the plan to assassinate him. Even people who were afraid of being poisoned indicated they knew about the toxin being used. Pausanias, a Roman scholar from the 2nd century CE, said that the River Styx had lethal power and that its water was the poison that killed Alexander. Some others, like Alexander's biographer Plutarch, even said that Aristotle, Alexander's old teacher, gave him the deadly dose. It seems that Aristotle was afraid of the man Alexander had become. No matter what else happened, Aristotle was in Athens when Alexander died, so he is definitely innocent. The waters of the River Styx. This is where history and mythology seem to mix. People today mostly know of the River Styx from stories about the underworld. Many old stories say that the spirits or shades of the dead must cross the River Styx to get to Hades. The Styx was a real place, though, and it was also a method to get to the underworld. Historical accounts and modern studies agree that the Styx is the Mavrinary Black Water, a part of the Charybdis River that flows into the Corinthian Gulf. Why would anyone think that Alexander the Great was killed by poison that was found in the Styx River? Adrian Mayer, a well-known research scholar in classics and history of science at Stanford, decided to check into it and created a fresh essay that was published in GeoHeritage. People in ancient times knew that the River Styx was poisonous. The geographer Strabo called the Styx deadly water, Plato talked about its fearful powers, and Pliny, a natural historian, said that drinking the water causes immediate death. People even thought that the Styx's waters could eat away at metal and ceramic things. Alexander von Humboldt, a famous German naturalist, said that as late as 1860, the Styx had an evil reputation among the present inhabitants of the area. People who lived nearby said that the stream polluted clay pots and didn't drink from it even in the 20th century. People in ancient times knew about poisonous waterways. For example, the Bible talks about one that was used to test the truthfulness of women who might have been cheating. But this information alone doesn't explain the Styx's creepy and long-lasting reputation. A historian of science examines. As a historian of ancient science, Mayer was interested in how the myths about the Styx River changed throughout time. She told National Geographic that it took years for the idea to come together. The project was a good fit for me because I had experience finding the real natural information hidden in old stories. Antoinette Hayes, a pharmaceutical toxicologist, told the mayor 15 years ago in 2010 that limestone might produce a toxic crust. The mayor was also interested in a recent item about a herd of elk that died in large numbers after eating poisonous lichen. With the support of geologists, chemists, toxicologists, and other experts, the mayor began to research into the possibility that the Styx had naturally occurring toxins in the past. In the article and her upcoming book Mythopedia, a brief compendium of natural history lore, Mayer argues that the limestone-lined pools of the Styx are perfect for harboring two extremely lethal natural substances, both only recently discovered by science: calicchemicin and toxic lichen. Calicchemicin comes from limestone. Calicchemicin is a hard coating that forms from limestone, especially in places where water gathers, drips, and evaporates. These are the conditions described by ancient observers of the rock-ringed pool by the Styx/Mavrinary waterfall, writes Mayer in her study. Calcium carbonate-rich water that flows through limestone leaves behind hardened caliche crusts on rocks, moss, and lichen. It can also make crusts on clay or metal, which may explain the stories about corroding vessels. Many different kinds of animals and plants live on the surface of caliche. Some, like algae, are not very harmful. Some, like cyanobacteria, are neurotoxic, hepatotoxic, cytotoxic, and endotoxic at levels very dangerous to humans and animals. In the 1980s, a toxicologist in Texas got a sample of caliche and found calicimicin, a deadly substance that has been used to make effective antibody-targeted chemotherapy but is more lethal to cells than ricin. T is not certain if it was there at the limestone-rimmed pool of the Styx in ancient times. In ancient times, its growth depended a lot on having the correct nutrients and soil conditions. Depending on the dose, this kind of poison would probably take days or weeks to work because it destroys DNA in a deadly way. The end effect of this process would have been the failure of several organs. It would have been the perfect poison to put in Alexander's drink at a party because it dissolves in wine. Oxalic acid in lichen mayer also offers a second toxin that might have come from the limestone rock ledges and pools of the Styx. Many molds, lichens, and fungi make mycotoxin, which is bad for you. People used to think lichens were safe, but they have known for a long time that some kinds of mushrooms can be harmful. 1 in 8 species of lichens contain poisons microcystins that cause liver damage, according to a recent study the mayor talked about. People in ancient times couldn't tell that lichen could poison them since they couldn't tell it apart from trees and rocks that it grew on. Water might be logically identified as the culprit, rather than the rocks on the banks, adds Mayer, if goats died along the River Styx, as the Greek geographer Pausanias says they did. The most common lichen-forming fungi on limestone in this location are black meristematic Oreobasidium-like and Penicillium-like species, which can be very harmful to animals and people when eaten according to Mayer. Lichenizing fungus gives rocks a black patina, which is similar to how the Styx is described as black. These fungi also let out oxalic acid, which is quite dangerous and corrosive. This could also explain the claims that the Styx's waters damaged metal. Oxalic acid is used to dissolve rust today. The story behind the legend, the mayor said, the effects of consuming either of these substances would have been seen and remembered for generations. Even if only a few animals and people died, remembering what happened would have added to the old stories about the river, which was already full with underworld beliefs. After Alexander the Great died, Mayer said, I think it was reasonable for Alexander's friends to think he had been poisoned. Many of them had reasons and chances. Also, the symptoms he has are the same as those that have been associated to Styx water in the past. The mayor stressed that her research did not settle the debate over what happened to Alexander the Great. She said we need a toxicological autopsy and a time machine for that. The problem can't be solved in the end. Scientists could check the Styx/Mavronares waters for lichen and calicimicin now, but their results, whether good or bad, wouldn't tell us if these toxins existed in the stream back then. Mayer's study explains why people thought Alexander had drunk the waters of the Styx. His friends thought that Alexander had been poisoned, and they thought that the River Styx was the source of the poison because it was also famous. When the bond was made, people started fabricating stories about his death with this idea in mind.